Hey guys, my name is Seth. I recently made a video on the TF2 matchups and I put them all on a tier list because it's an easy to understand format that works well. But that got pretty good feedback and a lot of comments, so I figured I'd make something similar and just like make a tier list of each class's weapons. And so yeah, I'm gonna be starting with Scout. I'm gonna do Scout, Soldier, and Pyro in this video, and then I'll move on to the other three classes, and then the other three and another one. But yeah, for now we're gonna start with Scout. Scout's best weapon is the scattergun, the stock scattergun, and I think the soda popper is a close second. The scattergun is just really versatile, really good. It's just a shotgun with extra ramp up, I think. But yeah, in the context of Scout, this thing is really powerful. It's super good. One of the best. I'd say this is a top 10 weapon, top 5 weapon maybe. Maybe top 5. Definitely top 10. But it's just extremely powerful, good in every situation. It's just why not use it? And the soda popper just has ridiculous kill time. It's a really powerful weapon, and the boost is insane. You get extra jumps. It's ridiculous. It's super fun. But yeah, and then moving down a little bit, the force of nature is just a step below these two, but it's still very pretty reliable, pretty solid. It gives you a little bit of extra mobility, gives you some knockback on your, but the problem with the knockback is that you shoot your enemy once and then the second shot does less damage because they're outside of your effective range by that point. So you gotta like really pin them up against a wall with a knockback so you can hit them with the second hit guaranteed. So you can guarantee a second hit, sorry. But yeah, the Force of Nature is just it's pretty good. It's all right. And then step down, I'd say the shortstop is in C tier. More of a mid-range weapon than a short-range weapon, and definitely does not have the firepower that the other primary weapons have, and I think that's its main issue. It just cannot, its damage just can't keep up with the other scatterguns to keep it like in the tier where these three are, in the tiers where these three are. But it's still good in its own right. The shove is completely useless, but it's hilarious, and the knockback it gives you like some vulnerability to push force, I think, which is never really comes into play. But this thing is good like for chipping away at people at mid-range and finishing them off. It's still pretty fun to use, actually. It's a really versatile gun if you really get to use it more. But yeah, it's just okay. And then a step below that one is the backscatter and the babyface. I'd say that the worst scattergun Scout has is the babyface. It's just if somebody sneezes on you when you have boost, you lose it all. You lose 2 shots in your clip for this too, and it's just kind of like shafts you just in general. Like no speed, and then you hit somebody. Yeah, now I have speed, but then you get hit, and oh now I'm no speed at all. It's crazy. And the backscatter is just kind of a worse version of the stock scattergun, but even then it's still all right. I'm tempted to put it up here with the shorts. Yeah, I think I'll put it up here with the shortstop. It's not as bad as people say, but it's just a worse version of the scattergun. But yeah, anyways, moving on to secondaries, I think the pistol and pocket pistol are pretty interchangeable. Pocket pistol's probably better because the increased fire rate's really nice. I use the pistol just because it has a bigger magazine size and it feels just better to use. I like the sound it makes, I guess. I don't know. But these two are interchangeable, very flexible. They're best for hitting somebody outside of your scattergun range and then going in for the finisher or finishing somebody off from a distance. But they're both pretty good. They're interchange. I might put the stock pistol above. No, I'll put the pocket pistol right here. But yeah, they're both pretty good. And then I'd say the winger and the Mad Milk. Mad Milk is better than the winger. I'd say these are the other best secondaries for Scout. Mad Milk is good for putting out your afterburn so you don't die, because afterburn is pretty dangerous for Scout because his health is so low. But and it's the healing effect is very, very powerful and good for keeping you alive and your team's alive. And like you throw this thing on like the pocketed heavy on the point, and your entire team just focus fires him, and they just can't die. It's pretty insane. And the winger's just all right. It's a mobility secondary, not a pistol. Don't use it as a pistol. I don't use it as a pistol. I don't think you should, just because like that's not really what it's made for. It's made for mobility. But it does enough damage to get the job done. It's just the clip is too small. But yeah, it's all right. And then I think the guillotine. is in the same area as these other two. It's just good. It's not great. I'd say the pistols are better for like a more reliable secondary, but this thing recharges pretty dang fast. But you got to hit your cleaver is the problem because it's harder to hit than the since it's a projectile. But it's a very fun weapon to use. Very good, very fun. And then I'd say the sodas are the worst secondaries for Scout. All of Scout's secondaries are pretty dang good, but the sodas are definitely the worst of the bunch. I think the Criticola is slightly worse than the Bonk, but it's still pretty powerful in its own right. I'm not gonna go too deep into either of these two, but yeah, the invincibility the Bonk gives you is pretty useful, and the mini crits are always useful. But why not just use a pistol or something? Like the other options are gonna help you more often, and these two put you at a disadvantage sometimes. So yeah, like why not just use these other five? But anyways, yeah. So on a melee weapons, the atomizer I'd say is the best one. Why not just give yourself a triple jump? And I'm actually going to bring this up because I think the Boston Basher is really overrated. Because, like, yeah, sure, it helps your medic build uber faster, but there's other ways to help your medic build uber faster. There's like, you can self-damage with rockets, you can self-damage with the stickies or pipes. There's just other classes who can damage themselves and help medic build uber than scout. So why not just use the atomizer to give yourself a third jump? And I mean, if you're going to use the Boston Basher for damage, why not just use your scattergun? Because you're right up in their face. Why not just hit them with a point blank shot, do 105 damage instead of 65 damage plus bleed? Or sorry, no, 35 damage plus bleed. But yeah, no, why not just use the scattergun? Anyways, I think the Rap Assassin is a better version of the Boston Badger in terms of damage, because it's just free damage that you can fling at people and make them bleed. It's pretty dang good. And also, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but if the ball stays in the air for a certain amount of time, I think it's a second, it always crits when it hits the enemy. So, like, if you get that lucky long range hit, it'll probably kill the enemy if it's like a light class. So it's really good against like sniper in specific. And yeah, no, it's just good. It's just free damage. But I do think that the triple jump on the atomizer is a little bit better. But and then moving down the list, I think the Phantom War is just kind of underwhelming sometimes. And I mean, yeah, like mini crits are nice, but if you really want to get mini crits, just use the soda, the Criticola. But I mean, this is a good way of doing it. You hit them and then you two tap them with the soda popper. You one tap them with the scattergun. But yeah, it's just good. It's okay. It's just like I feel like there's just why not just use the atomizer or the wrap? Then I think step down is the candy cane. Why use it when you always have like that ever-present explosive damage vulnerability? And I think being able to be one shot by any explosive projectile in the game is a little ridiculous sometimes. It's kind of bull crap to use, so I don't use it. Uh, I know some people really like it, and this is technically a direct upgrade if you're a no life scout main who just cannot get hit no what matter what. But I am not a no life scout main, so I don't like it. I don't use it. I feel like it's almost always a bad option to use just because you can get one shot by anything that's explosive. But yeah, it's not terrible. It's just like not great in my eyes. And then the other three melee weapons are terrible. I'm gonna put this one in buff because the Sandman slow effect does not work at all. Honestly, they should just make the ball mark for death because that's just the slow effects are bullcrap. Like I don't think slow and stun effects belong in Team Fortress 2 at all, unless they're like balanced very delicately, like the Force of Nature's knockback effect. I think that's fine. But and the loose cannon's knockback effect, yeah, that's fine too. But like slow and stun effects just do not belong in Team Fortress 2. And the bat is just kind of underwhelming. It like it does what it's supposed to. It works, but it's just kind of like you literally just use anything else and you're fine, except for the Sandman. And the Sun on a Stick is just kind of useless because like the fire damage resistance is not enough to save you. The freaking crit on burning target is useless because you got to rely on a pyro on your team to light somebody else on fire. And you also have to freaking what was I gonna say? You gotta rely on a pyro on your team to light the enemies on fire, and by the time you're in the range where you can hit them and get those crits, on them when they're on fire, why not just use your scattergun and shoot them? Like, once again, we're in a situation where the scattergun just does it better. Like, just don't even bother with the sun on a stick. But yeah, that's what I think about Scout's weapons, so let's move on. So we're doing Soldier next. I'm gonna try to breeze through these a little faster than in the last segment. Looking for the stock rocket launcher. Everybody knows the stock rocket launcher is the best one objectively in every situation. The other ones are good too, but like the stock rocket launcher just is always going to be the best one. There's never a reason to not use it. It's just always good. Black box and no, yeah, the black box I think is good. I don't think it heals enough on hit to like make an impact, but it's still pretty good. Like one less rocket isn't the end of the world, but it's still like it's still impactful, but like it's just a little much for not enough. I'm actually gonna move it down here. But it's still good. Like it still works. I like it. It's fun. It's good. It's nice. I just feel like maybe bump up the health to like 30 on hit, or just buff it like so you get like 50 health on kill. That adds to like overheal or something. But yeah, the black like make it like the katana. Speaking of the katana, it's not great on soldier. Like just use any other melee weapon. I'm gonna be brief. Yeah, no, just don't use the katana on soldier. It's kind of a meme to use it on soldier. Um, the beggar's bazooka, I think is pretty dang good because people who know how to use this thing are really freaking scary and hard to escape from. But it's just decent. I like it. It's a little random sometimes, but sometimes it will be random like in a favorable way. Um, I don't really have a lot to say on it, honestly. It's just kind of like the jank launcher. It's really fun. It's just not practical compared to the stock rocket launcher sometimes. Speaking of impracticality, uh, the airstrike, you basically just need a suicide bomb into enemies every time you use it. And it's weird to me how like it encourages you to like dive bomb people, but then it punishes you for dive bombing by decreasing the explosion radius even more than it already is. So it's just like why? But it's like really fun to use. It's one of my favorite rocket launchers. My favorite rocket launcher is the Beggar's Bazooka, but I think this is probably a close second place. But yeah, I think the Cow Mangler is just a worse rocket launcher, but it's still really good. It just can't deal with buildings. That's the issue. And I think the charge shot is really funny. It's really fun to like spam it across the map and like just kill like snipers or scouts or whoever's peeking around the corner. It's a worse rocket launcher, but only like in one area. So when there's no engineers, it's immediately a direct upgrade. But if you're playing on casual, there's always going to be like two engineers on the other team. So yeah, direct hit's really freaking fun. Um, Honestly, not a lot to say on it. It's just really fun, really good. It just shreds through people, but you're losing out on so much group damage that it's definitely a step below the stock rocket launcher. The original's on here for some reason. I'm just gonna put it up above the rocket launcher just because it's like a little bit better. But yeah, forget it. Like these, like just use either one. I don't care. Liberty Launcher's the worst rocket launcher. Honestly, down here. Again, too much for not enough. The damage penalty should just be like 15%, because 25% is like your rockets are doing barely more than your melee weapon. I like the projectile speed bonus, and I like the extra clip. But honestly, I heard this, I think it was Fishstick on a Stick who suggested giving it like a faster fire rate. I think that'd be pretty dang interesting. But it's not terrible. It's not like egregious or anything. It's just underwhelming. Yeah, I'm gonna move it up actually. It's just like it's the worst rocket launcher, but it's still pretty good. It's still all right, and just it definitely lacks comparing to the other ones. Base jumper should be buffed. I'm gonna make this one quick. It just slows down your airspeed too much and your turning speed too much. Just fix it. Like just it should have like a little bit of airspeed reduction, but not as much as it does right now, which I think is 50%. Make it like 25 or something. I'm not sure. I'm not a professional. I'm not like the person to like suggest. I don't think like my saying this is like the end all be all, but I'm just saying like this is my opinion. Like this is what I think, but I'm not sure. Yeah, everybody knows that the base jumper should be buffed. The battalion's backup, um, there's a whole video on YouTube by Zesty Jesus that you can watch on why this is the best weapon in the game, and I completely agree with him. The amount of damage you can block with this thing is a little insane. You basically have double health against sentry guns, and it's insane. It's really, really freaking good, and it blocks all crits, which is super good. But yeah, buff banner is good. It has the second strongest effect, I'd say, but it does not give you any passive effects, so you're really getting nothing until you blow that horn and get the mini crits. But it's still okay. I don't know why I put it in the front. By the way, these aren't ordered in any particular way. I'm just kind of putting them wherever. And the conch is good too. I don't know if it's pronounced conch or conch. Probably conqueror because it's called the conqueror. I don't care. Don't correct me. Like who cares? It's a virtual item in a video game. Who cares how it's pronounced? But it's good. It's good. Has a really good passive effect. The effect you get, and it only takes like what 400 damage to like charge up the meter. I think takes less than the other two, but it's still pretty good. I like the speed boost and the health on hit. It definitely benefits you more than it'll benefit your team, like because the speed boost is centered on you, and your team doesn't have to keep up with you to keep that speed boost. But it's really good. I like it. It's fun. It's probably my most used. No, my most used banner is definitely the buff banner. But yeah, this one's really good. Um, Gunboat's easy A tier. Everybody, it's just good. Less damage on rocket jump. I'm not good at rocket jumping personally because I don't main soldier. But it's just always good. Like, just protect yourself from your own splash damage. The man shreds are a meme. I'm not gonna go too far into that. They're a meme, but they're a funny meme. I like them. Only really good for Troller. Oh yeah, I didn't rank the rocket jumper yet. Rocket jumper's also a meme, but it's a funny meme. I don't really know. Tell me what you think. Like, I don't think Troller is viable, like, in normal play, but it's funny. More secondaries. Buff the Bison, everybody knows why. Shotgun, I think, is really, really strong on Soldier. The stock shotgun, I think, is the best shotgun to use on Soldier just because it has, like, that extra range over the panic attack and it's not missing out on shots like the reserve shooter is. But I think the reserve shooter is a close second, and the panic attack is definitely the weakest shotgun for Soldier, in my opinion, of course. Unless you're in casual, then the panic attack is always better. But even then, I find the stock shotgun to be better. But technically, the panic attack could be better because of the fixed spread, but I don't really think so. Reserve shooters, middle of the pack, like good for combos, good for like countering other soldiers or demo men. Just good. The shotgun, you can't really go wrong with them, but like there's like these two options up here are like a little better. Melee weapons, the whip is the best one, followed by the escape plan. Just speed when you're alive and speed when you're about to die are really good. Get out of the fight, get into the fight. It's these two like can be preference based. I think the whip is better just because it helps your team more, especially heavy. I think people sleep on the equalizer a little bit. It's definitely one of the worst melee weapons for soldier, but like if you're at that low health and you use your melee weapon, you're probably gonna kill somebody if you've been in a fight for a little bit with them. But yeah, it's just like I think it's better than the stock shovel, just because I don't know. What do you guys think? Like this is kind of I like the equalizer. I think it's a bit better. This is my opinion. This is my list. I think the equalizer is better than the stock shovel. But yeah, it's just all right. This one does what it's supposed to do. It's all right. Just like there's better options, so it's down there. Market Gardener's pretty good. Like if you're using it with like a normal soldier loadout, I think the Market Gardener's amazing, and then you swap back to playing normal soldier. If you're committing to the bit and doing Troller, that's a meme, but it's like kind of effective sometimes, pretty effective in normal play. but it's a little bit impractical. So that's why I put them down here, just because they're like memes. This is doing all the work. These two are just helping you get there. Um, and the pain train, the last one, I think people sleep on the pain train. The 10% bullet vulnerability, and yeah, sure, this thing's like useless on some game modes, or pretty much just capture the flag. Actually, never mind. But the pain train, just like the bullet vulnerability, I don't think that drops you below any major thresholds, unless I'm missing something. The shotguns are still gonna kill you in 2 shots. The minigun's still gonna kill you just as fast, and if you're getting shot by a minigun, you're dead anyways. But it's just people sleep on it. It's pretty good. It's just a free capture rate bonus, so like just use it over the shovel. But yeah, we're gonna move on to pyro now. So the final class I want to cover in this video, this is gonna be a 3-part series, by the way. But I'm gonna do the pyro last. Let's get some out of the way real quick. Where are you? This thing, stun mechanics do not belong in Team Fortress 2 unless they're very finely tuned, like I said before. Like with the stun, knockback, like the only 2 weapons I can think of that do it fairly are the Force of Nature and the Loose Cannon. Otherwise, I don't think stun effects or knockback effects are very fitting because just on a game design standpoint, players do not like it when they just can't do when they just stop, when things just stop and they can't do anything. So that's why I think the Scorch Shot is complete bullcrap to fight against. It's really, really dumb, really spammy. It is the single most rewarding weapon in the entire game. The amount of damage you can put out with this thing is insane. And also, daily reminder, a single direct hit with a Scorch Shot flare can one-shot a light class if the Afterburn keeps up with it, I'm pretty sure. But, like, assuming you get the double hit with the mini crit and the Afterburn finishes them off, the Scorch Shot is a little too much. Honestly, they should remove they got to remove the double hit and they got to remove the stun, and I think it's perfectly fine. Even if you have like the splash radius fire effect, I think that is just leads better than what we have now. So let's get the other secondaries out of the way. I think the flare gun and the panic attack are the best options for pyro. The panic attack might be better, and I think the detonator is definitely in third place here. Keep it brief. This thing's just good all around. Just good for combos. This is just good for everything because you're already going to be up in your opponent's face, and it's just higher damage than the shotgun at that point. And this thing just gives Pyro mobility, and Pyro kind of needs mobility sometimes, so it's really helpful, even though it damages you. But yeah, the jetpack is a little impractical sometimes, but it's a very effective mobility item. It's just nothing you can whip out and use on the fly. Like, it's not an escape tool, it's not an approach tool. You use it to get from point A to point B. That's about all you can do with it. You can't just bust it out like with the detonator and just get where you want to be. So yeah. I was going to put the gas passer in buffed here, but they did buff it. So you can combo it with the Neon Annihilator, which I am also going to put in E tier, and I'll explain why in a minute. Honestly, I don't know why this weapon has like the 1 minute timer thing going on, where like you can't use it and then like you don't start with it. If any weapon like this has that kind of effect, I think it should be Girardi. Because the gas passer, like the gas effect itself is so weak compared to like Mad Milk and Girardi that it's like why even bother? And I don't know why for the longest time wet gassed players couldn't be crit with the Neon Annihilator. Because it's insane how Sniper can do that, but Pyro couldn't for the longest time. It's ridiculous. Then the other secondary is the shotgun's just good. The reserve shooter, people sleep on it a little bit. The way I like to approach the reserve shooter for Pyro, I'm gonna move it down a tier, is you have like the panic attack switch speed and the shotgun's like extra range compared to the panic attack. So it's kind of like an in between, but it's still definitely the worst pyro shotgun at the moment, and it should not be. I think it's in a fine state it is right now. Pyro shouldn't have ever been able to use this weapon in the first place, but yeah, it's alright. I like it, it's good. And the Man Melter needs something. It's just like a worse, like why use this one? The other three are way better. But it's like Yeah, sure, you can extinguish your teammates and get crits, but why not just crit people who are already on fire? Like that when it's going to be most useful. But yeah, no, it's just the man melter is just underwhelming in every way. Like it needs something like a rework or something. Moving on to primaries, I think the stock flamethrower is the best one, and then the degreaser's in second place, but it's a tier below it. The stock flamethrower can just do everything. You have the most air blasts, good afterburn damage, good fire damage itself. Just it's good, just for every situation. And I think switch speed on the degreaser is a little overrated because it doesn't ever really help me or impact me in any way, I've found. Unless I'm doing like those point blank flare combos, which even then like work pretty well at mid range. The flare gun's good for long range anyways. But yeah, like I just don't see the appeal in the degreaser. But I think the stock flamethrower is the best one, without a doubt. I think the back burner is okay too. The air blast penalty kind of sucks, but the crits are awesome if they decide to work, because we all know how hit reg is in this freaking game. And the flog is really freaking annoying. They should make it so you can't Uber players with full oomph, because that is way too powerful. Basically, it crits, charge, and an Uber at the same time, but like the flog is like either completely useless or completely overpowered. It's kind of insane. I actually kind of want to move it down to D tier just because of how useless it can be sometimes. But yeah, and the Dragon's Fury is amazing. I think it's the best DPS flamethrower. It's basically just the flog but better because like the flog tries to be the DPS flamethrower, but this really is just the DPS flamethrower. It's awesome. I love the Dragon's Fury. Really fun. I recommend that people should use it more. But yeah, it's good. So, melee weapons. Um, these two are just like, why not just use your flamethrower if you're already in someone's face? Why not just use your shotgun if you're in someone's face? Why use these? And why use them when there's an objectively better but still situational weapon? So like, this is better, but why? Like, why is this an objective upgrade? Why is this an upgrade? Like, I don't understand it. Oh well. Yeah, I think the fire axe is the contender for the worst weapon in the game, probably because it's like objectively a downgrade. Like you're always at a disadvantage compared to the third degree when you're using this thing. But yeah, and the volcano fragment is like, why light somebody on fire with your melee when you can just do it with your flamethrower? It's insane. Like there's a joke, it's like, oh, finally Pyro can light people on fire at melee range. Like, dude, he could already do that. Like, and I understand it's a joke. It's just like, why does this exist? Like, another class should have this kind of weapon. Extinguisher's really fun. Good finisher. Don't really have a lot to say about it. It's like the flare gun, but a melee weapon. Homewrecker is okay. I don't think it's that useful. I think it's better for breaking buildings than removing sappers, but it's still okay. Oh yeah, and I was gonna talk about the Neon Annihilator. Um, why not just use something better? Like Pyro Sharking is a complete meme, and unless you're comboing it with a gas passer, which is also putting you at a disadvantage because you're losing out on the panic attack or the flare gun or the detonator or any other secondary weapon, you're losing out on those, and you have this, which is not always available, which is kind of useless other than the gas passer neon combo that was just added to the game. But like, why? Why use this unless you're gonna like specifically camp in the water for the Pyro Shark meme? It's just like impractical. It's a meme. That's what it is. It's a meme. But it's like a funny meme that I don't want to see changed. But the rake is good if you don't have a medic on your team. Otherwise, it's pretty bad. Because medics tend to gravitate towards the stronger classes like you, for example, like Pyro. So, like, don't use the rake unless there is no medic on your team. Otherwise, it's really good. And the damage on it is really good too. I think a crit can one-shot a soldier. I'm not sure though, but we're not talking about critical hits when we're talking about game balance. So the hot hand's a meme, but it's a meme that should be changed a little bit because I think this thing has like the lowest DPS of any weapon in the game. But it's really stupid. It's really dumb. I think it might be worse than the fire axe, honestly. And the power jack is the best pyro melee. It's free speed. I cannot say anything else about it. It's just free speed. why not use it? It's right there. Just whip it out. You have free speed. I think the 15% speed is much more impactful than people realize. But yeah, no. Anyways, that's what I think about Pyro's weapons. I think a few of these are controversial, but otherwise, I think it's mainly agreeable. I'm not sure, but anyways, yeah, that's this tier list video. I'm gonna have another one ready sometime soon. But yeah, just let me know what you think in the comments. Just give me feedback if you disagree, if you agree. Just let me know what you think. And please keep in mind that this is my opinion. This is my list. So honestly, it's subjective. So I don't know. Like obviously like yeah, there's gonna be discourse around this, but like yeah, this is just my opinion. Like yeah, make your own list, like I'm doing. That's why I'm making my own list so I can kind of tell you guys what I think. But anyways, yeah, that's what I think about this, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.